Time travel is for immortals and fools, and I speak from experience.
We've reached the last episode before the finale, so let's jump right into Alien Force's final adventure. This episode was another strong attempt to connect Alien Force to Classic more directly with returns like Hex, the Book of Magic, and Lucky Girl's brief opening. But as with most of Season 3, it falls pretty flat. Most viewers should know by now that I'm a huge sucker for time travel, but I actually didn't love this episode as much as you would think. The scenes where Gwen went back in time to a previous episode was fascinating, but beyond that, the evil future is just like every other evil future where the bad guy wins. Gloomy, generic, and inconsequential. Gwen also defeated Charmcaster all by herself during her first appearance. Granted, this time, Hex was around, but this future coming to pass is still a huge leap in logic, and perhaps the details were kept vague because there really is no justifying it either. Although, since Hex is aware of Gwen's time travel meddling, perhaps that's what gave him the advantage.
You're the time-lost Gwen.
How do you know all that?
Magic, my dear.
Still, would have liked a real explanation though. Ben gets so easily captured this season, it's not even funny. We went from flexing that Ben needs to hold back on folks to hide his true power to him getting chained to a wall like every other episode. This is also a future where Ben's Omnitrix isn't hacked, so Ben can't mistransform or time out, so he should be even stronger than the Ben Prime we follow. Ben even takes on Charmcaster and the rock monsters the moment he's free with pretty good efficiency. Although there is a visible glitch that happens with Ben's Omnitrix before he turns back, so perhaps something did happen after all? Just another unanswered question, I guess. It's always good to see Paradox again, so that's a plus. It makes sense that no matter what Kevin goes through, there's still a part of him that feels insecure about his condition, but after coming to peace and trade-off, perhaps this episode should have taken place before then. I also like that Gwen tries to keep the main trio out of the adventure as well, similar to Kevin doing so about his father's revenge, except Gwen actually succeeds. It's also smart of Gwen to prove that the future hers are really her, instead of just believing it, as identity theft is pretty common in Ben 10, especially with the use of ID masks. But with Alien Force Season 3, Charmcaster and Hex, they're just talking pieces for the plot again. I loved seeing the return of Lucky Girl. It felt a bit shoehorned in, but at the same time, it's harmless. Seeing Hex's castle was cool. For once, it wasn't just a giant barren room like most of UAF villain layers, but the bar has been set pretty low recently. Other than that, Hex's evil future seemed more like a political campaign than a magical enslavement, and not a lot really happens here either. But Stone Kevin had a neat design, and the Ben vs. Charmcaster fight was pretty dope. All of the best animation happens in the second half of the episode. It's important in a way because it makes a strong point that Kevin's condition is a factor in the timeline, and without this event, the future could be much worse. This explanation can also be extended to help answer some other questions about the show, on why characters don't always take the easy route. Sometimes, things just need to happen a certain way, no matter how heartbreaking they may seem at the time. Despite all the criticism, this episode still makes for some pretty good entertainment, as the premise is enough to keep you invested, although once everything is unraveled, it leaves an unsatisfied taste. But a quick fun fact, Gwen's spell from this episode is the same time travel spell that her and Sornitho attempt to use in 5YL Chapter 9.
Quis quandam eram afflictus, iam vices mas redintegrum.
With Time Heals, the pacing was so fast, it was hard to really be invested in the story, but it still managed to make an intriguing episode, even if it makes less and less sense the more you think about it.
Killing me is not cool.